Arrival at Galactic Academy. Zara Chen stood at the base of the towering crystalline spire, craning her neck to take in its full height. The Galactic Academy of Military Sciences stretched far above the clouds of Centaurus Prime, its iridescent surfaces refracting the light of twin suns. Around her, a sea of alien cadets from 100 different species streamed through the main gates, their appendages, exoskeletons, and environmental suits a dizzying display of galactic diversity. She took a deep breath, tasting the slightly metallic tang of the alien world's atmosphere through her adaptive breather. This was it, the moment she'd dreamed of since childhood. Zara was the first human ever admitted to the Academy, a calculated diplomatic gesture to welcome Earth into the Galactic Confederation. The weight of her species' future rested squarely on her shoulders. "Move it, primate." A bulky, chitinous creature shoved past her, its mandibles clicking in irritation. Zara stumbled but caught herself, biting back a retort. She'd been warned about the rampant anti-human sentiment. Proving herself here meant rising above the prejudice. Squaring her shoulders, she strode through the gates. The atrium beyond was a bustle of activity as new cadets checked in and received their assignments. Zara made her way to a glowing terminal, placing her hand on the bioscanner. It hummed, then chimed. Cadet Zara Chen Terra. Assigned. Dormitory Block 7, Room 2184. Report to orientation in Amphitheater C at 1400 hours local time. A holographic map materialized, guiding her through the labyrinthine complex. As she navigated the crowded corridors, Zara couldn't shake the feeling of being watched. Furtive glances and whispered conversations followed in her wake. She kept her expression neutral, refusing to show weakness. The door to room 2184 arced open at her approach. Inside, a willowy alien with pale blue skin and 4 arms was already unpacking. It turned, blinking multiple sets of eyes in surprise. "Oh, you must be my new roommate. I'm Nix Ra, 3rd cycle student from Epsilon Eridani." Its voice was melodic, almost sing-song. "I admit, I was not expecting. Well, you." Zara smiled, extending a hand. "Zara Chen. It's nice to meet you, Nix Ra." The alien hesitated, then grasped her hand with 2 of its own. "Forgive me, I'm not familiar with human customs. Is this how your species greets each other?" "It's called a handshake," Zara explained. "It's a gesture of friendship." Nixra's eyes crinkled in what Zara hoped was a smile. "How fascinating. I look forward to learning more about your people. You're the first human I've ever met." As they unpacked and settled in, Nixra peppered Zara with questions about Earth and human culture. The alien's genuine curiosity was a welcome change from the hostility she'd encountered so far. "I must admit," Nixra said, "many at the Academy are wary of humans. The stories of your wars, your rapid technological advancement, they frighten some, but I prefer to form my own opinions." Zara nodded. "I appreciate that. I'm here to learn, same as everyone else. Hopefully I can change some minds along the way." A chime sounded, indicating it was time for orientation. Zara and Nixra made their way to the massive amphitheater. Thousands of cadets from across the galaxy filled the tiered seating. At the center, a holographic projection of a stern-looking, vaguely reptilian alien flickered to life. "Welcome, cadets, to the Galactic Academy of Military Sciences. I am Commandant Zexexy. You represent the finest young minds your respective worlds have to offer. Over the next 4 cycles, you will be pushed to your absolute limits, physically, mentally, and ethically. Many of you will fail, but those who persevere will become the next generation of leaders who will safeguard peace across the Confederation." The hologram's gaze seemed to fix directly on Zara. "This year, we welcome our first human cadet. The inclusion of Earth in our ranks marks a new chapter in galactic history. I expect each of you to comport yourselves with the honor and integrity befitting this institution." A murmur rippled through the crowd. Zara felt countless eyes upon her, a mixture of curiosity and suspicion. The orientation continued, outlining the rigorous curriculum and expectations. Combat training, xenobiology, astrotactics, quantum engineering. The breadth of subjects was staggering. Zora's mind reeled at the challenge ahead, but a thrill of excitement coursed through her. This was her chance to prove humanity's worth on the galactic stage. As the assembly dispersed, a hulking, red-scaled alien blocked Zora's path. She recognized the species, a draconid, known for their martial prowess. "So you're the human," it growled, voice dripping with disdain. "I don't know how you wormed your way in here, but you don't belong. Go back to your backwater mud bowl before you embarrass yourself." Zora met its gaze evenly. "I earned my place here, same as you. If you have a problem with that, I suggest you take it up with the commandant." The draconid's nostrils flared, but before it could respond, a new voice cut in. "Is there a problem here, Cadet Krovac?" A tall, avian alien with iridescent plumage stepped between them. From the insignia on its uniform, Zara recognized it as an instructor. The draconid, Krovac, straightened to attention. "No, Professor Arix, no problem at all." "Good," Arix chirped. "Then I suggest you make your way to the physical assessment. Tardiness will not be tolerated." Krovac lumbered off, but not before shooting Zara a final glare. Professor Arix turned to her, head tilted inquisitively. "Cadet Chen, I presume. I've been looking forward to meeting you. I'm the xenobiology instructor, and I must say, I'm quite curious about human physiology. I hope you'll indulge my questions over the course of your studies." "Of course, Professor," Zara replied. "I'm happy to satisfy your curiosity and to learn about other species in return." Arix's beak curved in what Zara took for a smile. "Excellent. Now, you'd best hurry along to your assessment as well. And Cadet, don't let the likes of Krovac get to you. You have as much right to be here as anyone. Prove it with your actions, not your words." Zara nodded gratefully and hurried off to join the other first-year cadets. As she entered the massive training facility, her resolve hardened. She would face every challenge head-on, exceed every expectation, for herself, for Earth, and for the future of humanity among the stars. The physical assessment was grueling, designed to test the limits of a dozen different alien physiologies. Zara found herself grateful for the punishing training regimen she'd undergone in preparation for the academy. While she couldn't match the raw strength of species like the draconids, her overall endurance and adaptability allowed her to hold her own. As she completed the final obstacle, a zero-gravity maze that tested spatial awareness and reaction time, Zara caught snippets of conversation from the observing instructors. Impressive proprioception for a species with only 4 limbs. Did you see how quickly it adapted to the variable gravity fields? Still, hardly a match for our top-tier cadets. Is this really the best their world has to offer? Zara gritted her teeth and pushed herself harder, shaving precious seconds off her time. She wouldn't give them any excuse to doubt her capabilities. Exhausted but satisfied, she made her way back to her quarters to clean up before the evening meal. Nixra was already there, looking somewhat deflated. "Rough day?" Zara asked sympathetically. Nixra's tendrils drooped. "I fear I may have overestimated my physical capabilities. My species is better suited to intellectual pursuits than feats of strength." "Hey, don't get discouraged," Zara said. "It's only the first day. We've got plenty of time to improve. Why don't we train together? I could use help with some of the more esoteric subjects, and I can spot you in the gym." Nixra perked up. "You would do that, even though we've only just met?" Zara smiled. "That's what friends are for, and something tells me we could both use a friend around here." As they headed to the dining hall, Zara felt a renewed sense of purpose. She may be an outsider here, but she wasn't alone. With determination, hard work, and perhaps a few unexpected alliances, she would carve out her place among the stars. The first part of our story introduces Zara Chen and sets the stage for her journey at the Galactic Academy. We've established the initial challenges she faces, including prejudice from some aliens and the daunting curriculum ahead. We've also introduced some key characters: her roommate Nixra, the antagonistic Draconid Krovak, and the intrigued Professor Arix. In the next part, we'll delve deeper into Zara's training, exploring how her human abilities compare to those of her alien classmates, and the unique challenges she faces as she strives to prove herself. Training begins. The first week at the Galactic Academy passed in a blur of new experiences and challenges. Zara found herself constantly amazed by the diversity of her classmates and the advanced technology that permeated every aspect of their training. But as the initial awe wore off, the reality of her situation set in. She was here to learn, to prove herself, and to represent humanity on the galactic stage. The morning of their first combat training session, Zara arrived early at the expansive simulation chamber. The room was a marvel of holographic technology, capable of recreating any environment or scenario imaginable. As other cadets filed in, she caught snippets of excited chatter in a dozen different languages, her universal translator working overtime. Professor Klorath, a grizzled veteran of the Arcturian Wars, stomped to the center of the room. His carapace bore the scars of countless battles, and his compound eyes surveyed the cadets with a mix of skepticism and anticipation. "Listen up, Lava," he growled. "Today, we separate the warriors from the fodder. You'll be facing a series of combat simulations designed to test your instincts, your adaptability, and your will to survive. Remember, in real combat, there are no second chances." His gaze lingered on Zara for a moment. "Some of you come from species with natural advantages: strength, speed, armor. Others," he paused meaningfully, "will need to rely on their wits to compensate for their biological shortcomings." A few snickers rippled through the crowd. Zara clenched her jaw but said nothing. She'd let her performance speak for itself. "First up," Klorath announced, "Cadet Chen and Cadet Krovak. Let's see how our human guest fares against a more evolved opponent." The Draconid, Krovak, stepped forward with a predatory grin. "Try not to break too easily, primate. I'd hate to end your stay here on the first day of real training." Zara took her position opposite Krovak as the simulation chamber hummed to life. The sterile white room transformed into a rocky alien landscape. Harsh red sunlight beat down on them, and the air shimmered with heat. "Your objective is simple," Klorath's voice boomed from everywhere and nowhere. "Incapacitate your opponent. Begin." Krovak wasted no time, charging at Zara with a roar. His massive form seemed to eat up the distance between them in seconds. Zara's mind raced, recalling everything she knew about Draconid physiology. Strong, yes, but also heavy, used to overwhelming opponents with sheer power. At the last possible moment, Zara dove to the side, using Krovak's momentum against him. The Draconid stumbled off balance, and Zara seized the opportunity. She darted in close, striking at vulnerable points: joints, nerve clusters, the soft underbelly where the scales were thinnest. Krovak bellowed in pain and frustration, swinging wildly. Zara ducked and weaved, her smaller size and agility allowing her to stay just out of reach. She kept moving, circling her opponent, never allowing him to bring his full strength to bear. "Stand still and fight, coward," Krovak snarled. "Why?" Zara shot back, landing another precise strike. "So you can crush me? I don't think so." As the fight wore on, Zara could see Krovak tiring. His movements became slower, more labored. The planet's heat and gravity, while uncomfortable for Zara, were clearly taking a greater toll on the Draconid's massive form. Seizing her moment, Zara feinted left, then dropped low and swept Krovak's legs out from under him. The Draconid crashed to the ground with an earth-shaking impact. Before he could recover, Zara was on him, applying pressure to specific nerve points she'd studied in xenobiology. Krovak's limbs went limp, and he let out a roar of disbelief. What did you do to me?" The simulation faded away, revealing the shocked faces of their classmates. Professor Colorath's mandibles clicked in what might have been approval. An impressive display of tactical thinking, Cadet Chen, he said. You recognized your opponent's weaknesses and exploited them effectively. And you, he turned to Krovac, who was struggling to his feet, learned a valuable lesson about underestimating your enemy. Size and strength are not everything in combat. As they left the simulation chamber, Zara could feel the shift in how her classmates looked at her. There was still wariness, yes, but also a newfound respect. She'd proven that humans could hold their own. Over the next few weeks, Zara threw herself into her studies with renewed vigor. The curriculum was challenging, pushing the limits of her knowledge and abilities. In astrotactics, she found her human capacity for abstract thinking and strategy gave her an edge. Quantum engineering proved more difficult, the concepts so far beyond Earth's current technology that she often felt like she was trying to grasp smoke. But it was in xenobiology that Zara truly excelled. Her fascination with the diverse life forms of the galaxy, combined with her unique perspective as a human, allowed her to make connections that sometimes eluded her alien classmates. One day, as they were studying the complex symbiotic relationships of the Eridani ecosystem, Professor Arix posed a particularly challenging question to the class. Zara's hand shot up. Yes, Cadet Chen. Arix's feathers ruffled with interest. The relationship between the Eridani float ferns and the gas bladder insects reminds me of something from Earth, Zara began. We have a species called leafcutter ants that cultivate fungus gardens. They can't digest plant matter directly, so they use the fungus as a kind of external stomach. She went on to draw parallels between the two systems, explaining how understanding one could provide insights into the other. As she finished, she realized the entire class was staring at her in stunned silence. Professor Arix chirped excitedly. Fascinating. I've never considered the possibility of convergent evolution on such a scale between two vastly different ecosystems. Cadet Chen, I'd like you to prepare a presentation on this concept for next week's class. As they filed out of the lecture hall, Nixtra fell into step beside her. That was incredible, Zara. I've never seen Professor Arix so excited about a student's input before. Zara felt a flush of pride. Thanks, Nix. I'm just glad all those nature documentaries I watched as a kid are finally paying off. But not everyone was impressed by Zara's success. As they rounded a corner, they found Krovac and a group of his friends blocking their path. Don't let it go to your head, human, the Draconid sneered. So you know a few facts about bugs. Big deal. When it comes to real combat, you just got lucky. It won't happen again. Zara met his gaze coolly. Is that a challenge, Krovac? Because I'm pretty sure the combat rankings speak for themselves. It was true. After several weeks of simulations, Zara had consistently placed in the top percentile of their class, much to the chagrin of several more physically imposing species. Krovac's scales flushed a deeper red. Watch your back, Chen. Accidents happen in training all the time. As the group shouldered past them, Nixtra's tendrils quivered with anxiety. Perhaps you shouldn't antagonize them, Zara. They can make things very difficult for you. Zara sighed. I know, but I can't back down either. I'm not just here for myself. I'm representing all of humanity. If I show weakness now, it'll only reinforce their prejudices. That night, as Zara lay in her bunk reviewing quantum formulae, a priority message flashed on her personal comm unit. It was from Earth's ambassador to the Galactic Confederation. Cadet Chen, your progress at the Academy has not gone unnoticed. Your success is opening doors for humanity in ways we never anticipated. But be cautious. Not everyone is pleased with how quickly humans are advancing. Trust your instincts and remember why you're there. The hopes of Earth go with you. Zara stared at the message long after it faded from the screen. The pressure of her position weighed heavily on her, but so did the pride of knowing she was making a difference. Whatever challenges lay ahead, she would face them head-on. As she drifted off to sleep, Zara's mind wandered to the upcoming galactic tournament. It was still months away, but already the excitement was building among the cadets. The tournament was a chance for the best and brightest to showcase their skills before representatives from every major power in the Confederation. If she could make a strong showing there, it would go a long way towards cementing humanity's place among the stars. With that goal in mind, Zara renewed her determination to push herself even harder in her training. Little did she know, forces were already in motion that would test her resolve in ways she could never have imagined. The true challenges were just beginning. The Galactic Tournament. The months leading up to the Galactic Tournament passed in a blur of intense training and study. Zara pushed herself to the limit, honing her skills in combat, tactics, and xenosciences. Her successes had not gone unnoticed, and she found herself the subject of both admiration and resentment among her peers. As the tournament approached, excitement reached a fever pitch throughout the academy. Holographic displays throughout the campus showcased profiles of top contenders from each year, and Zara was surprised to find her own face among them. The night before the tournament's opening ceremony, Zara sat cross-legged on her bunk, trying to calm her nerves through meditation. Nixra floated nearby, tendrils gently waving. "You should rest, Zara," Nixra said softly. "You'll need all your strength tomorrow." Zara opened one eye. "I know. I just can't shake this feeling that there's more riding on this than just a competition." Nixra's bioluminescent spots pulsed thoughtfully. "Perhaps there is. The tournament is as much about diplomacy as it is about martial prowess. It's a chance for species to showcase their potential on the galactic stage." "No pressure, right?" Zara chuckled wryly. The next morning, Zara joined the sea of cadets flooding into the grand arena. The structure was a marvel of alien architecture, a massive dome that seemed to defy gravity. The interior was even more impressive, with seating for thousands and a central arena that could reconfigure itself for various challenges. As the cadets took their places, a hush fell over the crowd. A holographic projection appeared at the center of the arena, resolving into the image of Commandant Zexexy. Esteemed guests, honored representatives of the Galactic Confederation, and brave cadets, the Commandant's voice boomed. "Welcome to the 527th Galactic Tournament. Over the next week, you will witness displays of skill, courage, and ingenuity from the finest young minds our united species have to offer." Zexex's gaze seemed to linger on Zara for a moment. This year's tournament is particularly significant, as it marks the first time a human cadet will compete. Let this be a testament to the strength we find in our diversity. The opening ceremony continued with a parade of representatives from various worlds. Zara felt a swell of pride as the Earth delegate took his place among the galactic dignitaries. Finally, it was time for the preliminary rounds to begin. Cadets were divided into groups, each facing a series of challenges designed to test different aspects of their training. Zara's first test was a zero-gravity obstacle course. As she donned her protective suit, she overheard two alien officials speaking in low tones. "The human has done well in simulations, but this is real. We'll see how it performs under true pressure." Gritting her teeth, Zara stepped into the anti-grav field. The sensation of weightlessness was disorienting at first, but she quickly adapted, using subtle movements to propel herself forward. She navigated through electrified barriers, dodged holographic projectiles, and solved spatial puzzles that rearranged themselves in real time. As she crossed the finish line, Zara allowed herself a small smile. Her time wasn't just good, it was the best in her group. The officials looked at their readouts in disbelief. The day continued with more challenges: tactical simulations, xenobiology identification races, and tests of raw physical endurance. In each, Zara held her own, often surprising her alien competitors with innovative solutions. During a brief rest period, Zara found herself approached by a tall, willowy alien she recognized as a sylphid, a species known for their diplomatic skills. "Impressive showing, Cadet Chen," the sylphid said, its voice like wind through leaves. "I am Zalix, junior attaché to the Confederation Council. Your performance has caught the attention of many influential beings. Zara bowed slightly, recalling the proper Sylphid greeting. Thank you, Zalix. I'm honored by the attention, but I'm just here to do my best, like everyone else. Zalix's luminous eyes narrowed slightly. Indeed, but surely you must realize the larger implications of your success here. There are those who have concerns about humanity's rapid advancement. A chill ran down Zara's spine. Was this a warning? A threat? Before she could respond, a chime sounded, signaling the next round of competition. We'll speak again, Cadet Chen, Zalix said, gliding away. Do be careful. It would be a shame if anything were to impede your progress. As Zara prepared for her next challenge, a multi-species squad tactics simulation, her mind raced. The tournament was clearly more than just a test of skills. It was a political minefield, and she was at the center of it. The squad simulation proved to be the most challenging event yet. Zara found herself teamed with a draconid, a methane-breathing Volcrin, and a silicon-based Lithorian. Communication was difficult, and their vastly different physiologies made coordinating attacks a nightmare. Yet, as the simulation progressed, Zara found ways to leverage each species' strengths. She had the draconid take point, using its armored hide as mobile cover. The Volcrin's ability to perceive methane emissions became a crucial early warning system. The Lithorian's crystalline structure allowed it to refract energy weapons, creating dazzling light shows that disoriented their holographic opponents. Working together, they completed the course in record time. As they exited the simulation chamber, even the Draconid, a different one from Krovac, thankfully, gave Zara a grudging nod of respect. Effective tactics, human, it rumbled. Perhaps your kind has potential after all. As the day's events concluded, the leaderboard showed Zara solidly in the top 10% of competitors. She couldn't help but feel a surge of pride, tempered with caution. Her success was drawing attention, both positive and negative. That night, as Zara prepared for bed, she found a small data chip hidden in her personal effects. Curious and wary, she inserted it into her comm unit. A scrambled message appeared. Cadet Chen, your performance has upset certain equilibriums. Powerful factions fear human potential. Watch your back. Not all dangers come from outside the academy. Trust few. Persevere. The galaxy is watching. The message dissolved, the data chip self-destructing with a small puff of smoke. Zara sat in stunned silence, her mind whirling. Who had sent the warning? And more importantly, what dangers lurked in the shadows of this supposedly friendly competition? As she lay awake, Zara realized the tournament had become far more than a test of her abilities. It was a crucible that would determine not just her fate, but potentially the future of human-alien relations. With renewed determination, she vowed to face whatever challenges lay ahead. The next morning brought a new set of trials. As Zara made her way to the arena, she couldn't shake the feeling of being watched. The warning from the mysterious data chip weighed heavily on her mind, making her hyper-aware of her surroundings. The day's first event was a one-on-one combat tournament, fought with non-lethal energy weapons in a constantly shifting holographic environment. Zara breezed through her early matches, her human adaptability allowing her to quickly adjust to the changing terrains. As she prepared for the semi-finals, Zara overheard a heated argument between two officials. She couldn't make out the words, but their agitated gestures and furtive glances in her direction set her on edge. Her semi-final opponent was a towering juggernaut, a species with natural armor plating and tremendous strength. As they faced off, Zara noticed something odd about the alien's weapon. It seemed to be glowing more intensely than regulation allowed. The match began, and Zara immediately went on the defensive, dodging the juggernaut's powerful but slow attacks. But when one of the energy bolts grazed her arm, she felt a searing pain far beyond what the safety protocols should have allowed. Realization dawned. Someone had tampered with the weapons, turning this into a potentially lethal confrontation. Zara's mind raced. If she forfeited, she'd be out of the tournament, potentially damaging humanity's standing, but continuing put her life at risk. In that split second of indecision, the Juggernaut pressed its advantage, unleashing a barrage of energy bolts. Zora's training kicked in, and she moved with a speed and grace that surprised even her. She rolled, leaped, and spun through the holographic obstacles, closing the distance between her and her opponent. Getting in close negated the Juggernaut's ranged advantage. Zora ducked under its massive arms, striking at vulnerable joints with precise blows from her own weapon. She could hear the crowd gasping and cheering, but she tuned it all out, focused entirely on survival. With a final, well-placed strike, Zora managed to disarm the Juggernaut. As her opponent fell to one knee, she held her weapon steady, aimed at a gap in its armor. "Yield," she said, her voice steady despite her racing heart. The Juggernaut looked at her with a mixture of shock and grudging respect. "I yield," it rumbled. As the crowd erupted in cheers, Zara felt a wave of dizziness wash over her. The adrenaline fading, she became acutely aware of the burns on her arm where the sabotaged weapon had struck her. Medical drones rushed to her side as she swayed on her feet. The last thing she saw before losing consciousness was the concerned face of Professor Arix pushing through the crowd towards her. Zara awoke in the medical bay, her arm bandaged and the ache in her muscles dulled by painkillers. As her vision cleared, she saw Nixra hovering anxiously nearby. "Zara, you're awake." Nixra's tendrils waved in relief. "We were so worried. The doctor said the weapon had been modified to bypass safety protocols. If you hadn't moved so quickly." Zara sat up slowly, wincing. "Someone's trying to sabotage me. But why? And how deep does this go?" Before Nixra could respond, the door slid open. Commandant Zexaxi entered, flanked by Professor Arix and the Earth Ambassador. "Cadet Chen," Zexaxi's voice was grave. "It seems we have much to discuss about the future of this tournament, and perhaps the future of galactic relations as well." As Zara met the Commandant's gaze, she knew that the real challenges were only just beginning. The tournament had become a battlefield in a much larger conflict, with the fate of humanity's place in the galaxy hanging in the balance. Conspiracy uncovered. The medical bay fell into an uneasy silence as Commandant Zexaxi, Professor Arix, and the Earth Ambassador gathered around Zara's bed. The gravity of the situation was palpable in the air. "Cadet Chen," Zexaxi began, his multifaceted eyes gleaming with concern. "What happened in the arena today is unprecedented in the history of this tournament. The sabotage of your opponent's weapon was a deliberate attempt to cause you serious harm, if not worse." The Earth Ambassador, a distinguished man named Dr. Elias Reeves, stepped forward. "Zara, your performance in this tournament has exceeded all our expectations. But it seems your success has made you a target. We need to understand who's behind this and why." Zara nodded, her mind racing. "I received a warning last night," she admitted, recounting the mysterious data chip and its cryptic message. Professor Arix's feathers ruffled with agitation. "This goes beyond mere competition. There are factions within the Confederation who fear humanity's potential. Your success here threatens their established power structures." "But surely not everyone feels this way," Zara protested. "I've made friends here, allies." "Indeed," Zexaxi agreed, "and that is precisely what worries them. Your ability to adapt, to bring out the best in your fellow cadets, it demonstrates a quality that some find unsettling." Dr. Reeves placed a hand on Zara's shoulder. "We need to tread carefully. If we withdraw you from the tournament, it could be seen as an admission of human weakness. But your safety is paramount." Zara sat up straighter, ignoring the twinge of pain in her arm. "I won't withdraw," she said firmly. "That's exactly what they want. We need to find out who's behind this and expose them." A ghost of a smile played across Zexaxi's alien features. "I had a feeling you might say that, Cadet. Very well. With increased security measures, but we'll need your help to uncover this conspiracy." Over the next few days, as Zara recovered and prepared for the tournament's final rounds, a covert investigation began. Nixdra proved an invaluable ally, using their natural abilities to eavesdrop on conversations and access restricted areas undetected. Zara also reached out to some of the friends she'd made among the other cadets. Krill, a Vulcrine she'd impressed during the squad tactics simulation, agreed to keep his methane sensors attuned for any unusual gatherings or secretive meetings. Even Krovak, the Draconid who had initially been so hostile, seemed to have had a change of heart after witnessing the attempt on Zara's life. "This dishonors us all," he growled. "Whatever our differences, the tournament should be won by skill, not treachery." As pieces of the puzzle began to come together, a disturbing picture emerged. The conspiracy reached high into the ranks of the Confederation, involving members of the Council itself. They feared that humanity's rapid advancement and adaptability could upset the delicate balance of power that had existed for millennia. The final piece fell into place when Professor Arix managed to decrypt a series of encrypted transmissions. They revealed plans for a final, desperate attempt to humiliate humanity and force their withdrawal from the Confederation, all centered around the tournament's closing ceremony. With time running out, Zara and her allies gathered in a secure room deep within the Academy to formulate a plan. "We can't just accuse members of the Council without concrete proof," Dr. Reeves cautioned. "It could spark a diplomatic crisis." "But we can't let them sabotage the final event either," Zara countered. "There has to be a way to draw them out, force them to reveal themselves." Nixra's tendrils twisted thoughtfully. "What if we gave them exactly what they want, but on our terms?" All eyes turned to the alien cadet. "Go on," Zexexy encouraged. "They want to humiliate humanity, prove that you don't belong," Nixra explained. "So let's stage a spectacular failure, one so obvious that it will force them to act openly to capitalize on it." Zora's eyes widened as she caught on. "And when they do, we'll be ready to expose them." The plan was risky, requiring split-second timing and absolute trust between species that, just months ago, had been strangers or even adversaries. But as Zara looked around the room at her unlikely team, human, sylphid, draconid, Vulcrine, and more, she felt a surge of hope. This, she realized, was what the Academy was truly about. As the final day of the tournament dawned, tension hung heavy in the air. Zara took her place among the other finalists, her heart pounding but her resolve firm. Whatever happened today would shape the future of human-alien relations for generations to come. The event was a complex simulation combining elements of combat, strategy, and xenostance. As planned, Zara began strong, showcasing the skills that had brought her this far. But halfway through, she deliberately began to falter, making increasingly obvious mistakes. Murmurs rippled through the crowd. Zara could see confusion and disappointment on the faces of her supporters, but she steeled herself and continued with the plan. Just as she was about to commit a final catastrophic error that would eliminate her from the competition, a commotion erupted in the VIP viewing area. A group of high-ranking officials, their faces twisted with cruel satisfaction, began loudly proclaiming the failure of the human experiment. "You see," one of them crowed, his voice carrying across the suddenly silent arena. "This proves that humanity has no place among us. They are too volatile, too unpredictable. For the safety of the Confederation, Earth must be isolated." It was the moment they had been waiting for. Commandant Zexix's voice boomed out, amplified for all to hear. "And so you reveal yourselves, conspirators. Your plot to sabotage Cadet Chen and undermine humanity's position is exposed." Chaos erupted as security drones surrounded the stunned officials. On cue, holographic displays throughout the arena began showing evidence of the conspiracy, encrypted messages, weapon schematics, secret meetings. In the center of it all stood Zara, no longer feigning weakness but standing tall and proud. She locked eyes with Dr. Reeves, who gave her a subtle nod. It was time for humanity to make its stand. Zara's voice rang out, clear and strong. Members of the Galactic Confederation, honored guests, fellow cadets. What you've witnessed here is not just an attempt to sabotage one cadet or one species. It's a testament to the fear of change, of evolution, but it's also proof of something greater. She gestured to her allies, Nixtra, Krovak, Krill, and others who had stood by her. Look around you. In working to uncover this plot, we've demonstrated the very thing humanity brings to the Confederation. Not just our own strengths, but the ability to bring out the best in others, to adapt and form bonds across the barriers of biology and culture. The arena had fallen silent, all eyes on the human cadet who dared to challenge the status quo. We don't seek to dominate or disrupt, Zara continued, her voice filled with passion. We want to learn to grow, and to help the Confederation grow with us. The challenges we face as a galaxy are too great for any one species to face alone. But together, embracing our diversity and our shared potential, there's nothing we cannot achieve. As Zara finished speaking, a moment of tense silence hung in the air. Then, slowly at first but building to a crescendo, applause began to echo throughout the arena. Species that had been skeptical or even hostile towards humanity were now cheering, moved by Zara's words and the display of interspecies cooperation. Commandant Zexexi stepped forward, his expression solemn, but his eyes shining with something akin to pride. Cadet Chen, you and your allies have done a great service to the Confederation today. You've not only exposed a threat from within, but demonstrated the very principles upon which this institution was founded. He turned to address the assembled crowd. Let this be a turning point in our history, a moment when we recommit ourselves not to fear and isolation, but to unity and mutual growth. As the cheers grew louder, Zara felt a weight lift from her shoulders. The conspiracy had been unraveled, the immediate threat neutralized. But she knew this was just the beginning. Humanity's journey among the stars would be filled with challenges, but also with incredible opportunities. Looking out at the sea of alien faces, some familiar, some still strange, but all part of the vast tapestry of galactic life, Zara Chen smiled. Whatever the future held, she was ready to face it, not just for humanity, but for the entire Confederation. The Galactic Tournament had become far more than a competition. It had become a crucible for change, a catalyst for a new era of interstellar cooperation. And at the heart of it all stood a young human cadet, proof that sometimes the greatest strength lies not in dominating others, but in bringing out the best in everyone, victory and consequences. The aftermath of the conspiracy's exposure sent shockwaves through the Galactic Confederation. As the dust settled, Zara found herself at the center of a diplomatic whirlwind. The final day of the tournament had been postponed to allow for a full investigation and to give the delegates time to process the momentous events. Zara stood before a hastily convened session of the Confederation Council, flanked by Commandant Zexexi and Dr. Reeves. The chamber was a marvel of alien architecture, with representatives from hundreds of species occupying seats that accommodated their diverse physiologies. The lead counselor, a being of pure energy contained within a specially designed suit, addressed the assembly. We stand at a crossroads in the history of our Confederation. The actions of a misguided few have brought us to the brink of a crisis, but they have also presented us with an opportunity for growth and change. Murmurs rippled through the chamber as the counselor continued. Cadet Zara Chen, please step forward. Zara advanced, her heart pounding but her stance resolute. Your actions, and those of your allies, have demonstrated the very best of what the Galactic Academy stands for. In the face of adversity, you chose unity over division, understanding over fear. The Council recognizes your service to the Confederation. A holographic medal materialized before Zara, slowly descending to rest around her neck. It shimmered with an otherworldly light, its significance not lost on anyone present. This is the Star of Galactic Unity, the counselor explained. It has been awarded only 7 times in our history, and never before to a member of a species so new to our ranks. Wear it with pride, Cadet Chen. Zara bowed deeply, overwhelmed by the honor. Thank you, esteemed counselors, but I cannot take sole credit. This victory belongs to all who stood with me, human and alien alike. The lead counselor's energy form pulsed in what Zara interpreted as approval. Indeed, and it is in that spirit that we must move forward. The conspiracy has been rooted out, but its existence points to deeper issues we must address. Over the next several hours, the Council debated reforms to promote greater integration and understanding between species. Zara and her fellow cadets were called upon to testify, sharing their experiences and insights. As the session drew to a close, a momentous decision was reached. In light of recent events, the lead counselor announced, and in recognition of humanity's potential for fostering cooperation, we hereby elevate Earth's status within the Confederation. Humanity will now have a full voice and vote in all Confederation matters. The chamber erupted in a cacophony of alien sounds, cheers, whistles, and other expressions of approval that Zara's translator couldn't quite pass. Dr. Rees clasped her shoulder, his eyes shining with pride and maybe a hint of tears. "You've done it, Zara," he said softly. "You've opened doors we never thought possible." As they exited the council chamber, Zara was mobbed by her fellow cadets. Nyxra's tendrils wrapped around her in an alien embrace, while Krovat gave her a respectful nod that spoke volumes coming from the once hostile Draconid. "So, human," Krovat rumbled, "it seems you've proven your worth after all. Perhaps there is hope for your species yet." Zara grinned. "High praise indeed, coming from you. I hope this means we can count on the Draconids as allies going forward." Krovat's scales rippled in what Zara had learned was amusement. "Let us say, we will be watching your progress with great interest." The following day, the Galactic Tournament resumed for its final event. The atmosphere was electric, charged with a new sense of purpose and unity. As Zara took her place among the finalists, she felt the weight of expectation on her shoulders, but also the support of her newfound allies. The final challenge was a test like no other, a complex simulation that combined combat skills, tactical decision-making, and diplomatic negotiation. As the scenario unfolded, Zara found herself leading a diverse team of aliens in a crisis that threatened the entire Confederation. Drawing on everything she had learned, both in classes and through her recent experiences, Zara guided her team with a mixture of strategic insight and empathetic leadership. She leveraged each species' strengths, mediated conflicts, and made tough decisions that balanced the needs of individuals against the greater good. As the simulation reached its climax, Zara faced a final, crucial choice. The scenario presented two options: a victory that would save the Confederation, but at the cost of sacrificing a minority of worlds, or a riskier path that might save everyone but could potentially fail catastrophically. Without hesitation, Zara chose the riskier option. "We don't leave anyone behind," she declared to her team. "That's not what the Confederation stands for, not anymore." Working together in perfect harmony, Zara and her alien comrades executed a daring plan. As the simulation ended, the arena erupted in cheers. They had succeeded against all odds, saving every world in the scenario. Commandant Zexix's voice boomed out. "Cadets, honored guests, citizens of the Confederation, it is my great pleasure to announce that this year's Galactic Tournament champion is Cadet Zara Chen of Earth." The applause was deafening. As Zara stepped forward to receive her award, she saw faces filled with admiration, not just for her victory, but for what it represented. She had shown them a vision of what the Confederation could be at its best. In the days that followed, as Zara prepared to return to Earth for a well-earned break before her next term at the Academy, she reflected on how much had changed. The conspiracy's exposure had been a shock to the system, but it had also cleared the air, allowing for honest dialogue about the challenges and opportunities of true galactic cooperation. Earth was buzzing with the news of Zara's victory and humanity's elevated status. She knew that great responsibilities lay ahead. Humanity would need to prove itself worthy of the trust placed in it. But looking at the stars twinkling in the night sky, Zara felt a sense of limitless possibility. As she packed her bags, a message arrived from Commandant Zexexe. Cadet Chen, your journey at the Academy is far from over, but you have already left an indelible mark on the Confederation. Remember that true victory lies not in personal glory, but in bringing out the best in others. The stars await, and I have no doubt that you will continue to shine brightly among them. Zara smiled, her resolve strengthened. Whatever challenges the future held, she was ready to face them, not alone, but alongside allies from across the galaxy. The galactic tournament had been just the beginning. The real adventure was only just starting. As her transport prepared for liftoff, carrying her back to the Academy for her next term, Zara took one last look at the blue marble of Earth below. She was leaving home, yes, but she was also returning to a new home among the stars, a home she had helped shape through her courage, compassion, and unwavering belief in the power of unity. The conspiracy had been unraveled, bridges had been built, and a new chapter in galactic history had begun. And at the heart of it all was a young human cadet named Zara Chen, whose journey was far from over. As the ship broke atmosphere and the stars beckoned, Zara whispered a promise to herself and to the vast, wondrous universe that awaited her. This is only the beginning.